Well, here we are, under the apple tree. We're at Cropredy, Fairport's Cropredy Festival. I can't see any apples, Blair, can you?
No.
I'm Ashley Hutchings, and this is Blair Dunlop, and we're father and son, and you have to guess which one is the father and which one is the son. But anyway, you've been coming here ever since you were tiny, I think, Blair, weren't you?
Yeah, I think my first appearance was at 6 months old, and you took me on stage and pretended to plug me in.
I did.
And 20,000 people groaned, and some people laughed.
And then I took you to the side of the stage and put you in the arms of Norma Waterson, who was there, and she cradled you while I played with Fairport. I remember that very clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely part of our family summit every year. Really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's always lovely to be here, especially when it's sunny like now. But you've followed in my footsteps, which your mum and I weren't sure you would, but you did, and you've made albums, and we're very proud of you, of course. And I think you're writing for a new album, is that right?
I am, yeah. I'm writing for my third album now, the difficult third album. I'm very excited for it. Going into the studio in about a month's time. Month and a bit, maybe.
Yeah.
It's all going to be great. I think the sound palette's going to be quite raw. It's going to be me and my trio, which I'm loving playing with at the moment.
And who's in the trio?
I got the fantastic Jacob J.J. Stoney on the keys.
Great name.
And I'm Fred Claridge on the drums. And I think we're feeling that the album will be quite raw and mainly live with the odd overdub. Let the songs do the talking. But you have a book out, and I am on chair duty today.
Yes, the reason we have to tell the people, the main reason you're here is that you're on the door taking the tickets, because I'm doing a special event in the village hall here in Cropredy. Now, not much gets done in the village hall, which is a shame, because Cropredy is, it spills into the village. If the viewers don't know this,
obviously you've got the Brasenose.
You've got the Brasenose pub with lots of music, loads of things happen, and markets, there are all kinds of things. But I hope this is maybe the first of things, special events that might happen in the village hall. I mean, I'll just be speaking and reading from my book and talking about the early days of Fairport. And Mick Houghton will be with me. He's written a great book on Sandy Denny, and he'll be reading from his book. And then we'll be just talking to the people who come along about the legacy of Fairport and the history of Fairport, and a few anecdotes that they won't know. And you're helping me out on the door, which is great. all family stuff.
Yeah, it's all good. So I have to ask, do you prefer coming to the festival and playing, or do you prefer coming to the festival and talking and hanging out and doing a bit of book launching?
The latter. I think I prefer to be doing some things.
Yeah, okay.
It's when you get to my advanced age, it's nice to be doing things, because if you just kind of like sit down for a long time or stand and don't do anything, you start to think of all your aches and pains. Whereas if you're doing something, you're playing, or you're maybe reading, or you're talking to an audience, then it's different.
And how about playing versus talking and reading your words?
Now, that's a good question, because I thought about this morning, and I think in the old days it would have been playing. I just want to play, be up there, maybe with Fairport, the old guys, or with one of my bands on stage, on the big stage. But nowadays, now I'm 70 years old, I am increasingly drawn to the spoken word, and I love doing spoken word presentations. And of course, with the book, it's ideal. I can read poems that I've written or song lyrics and talk about them. And in fact, I'm doing quite a few gigs this year, and we have even a title of the performance, which is From Psychedelia to Sonnets.
Nice.
And that's travelling around the country.
Yeah, I did a gig in the Black Country a couple of days ago, and there was a spoken word artist who shared the bill with me, and it was one of my favourite gigs I've done that I can remember. She was amazing, and the idea of music, it worked well because it was acoustic and it was in a chapel, but the idea of the words in music form and then her talking, but she spoke in such a musical way, and she wrote so well. It just complemented, I thought, my stuff really nicely. And the people walked away from the gig thinking, why do people not do that more often?
Talk more,
yeah. And it's lovely for the festival goers. They can watch the music and then come go into the wander off and see you and Mick talk a bit of spoken word that's related to the music, but adds a different dimension to the festival. And you got festivals like Latitude as well, who all do things like that.
I would love to go to Latitude. Yeah. I think we belong at Latitude, you and I.
Do you reckon? Yeah, I think we belong at Cropredy.
Well, fine. We belong here as well. We belong here as well, folks. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think some of the most moving moments of listening to things for me have been when there's been some wonderful music, and then words have been spoken on top of the music. Can be very, very moving if, let's say, the passionate words and there's music behind them. Very often might bring a tear to the eye. Yeah. So songwriting is increasingly important to you.
Yeah.
And who are your influences?
Well, I'm very British English in my communication.
Yeah.
So I love kind of all the folk ballads that I've grown up listening to, the stories. I love that linear aspect and of storytelling and going through, a timeline of events. I think I got that from growing up in the folk scene, really,
right.
And being at a festival such as Cropredy. So people who write like that and have maybe that kind of sense of irony, but also a very British thing that we have that confuses even ourselves. So sarcastic. So on that note, topical, obviously, as we're here, I'd say Richard Thompson is one of your friends.
Well, he had to.
He's obviously a big influence to me, but also. And obviously the traditional works that I was speaking of, and the great arrangers like Nick Jones, Martin Carthy, people like that, obviously. But in terms of American music, which I also identify a lot with, it'd be the West Coast guys like Jackson Browne, Warren Zevon.
Great.
I find Warren is a little bit of a bridge, because he's really biting and cutting and ironic, but he's also got that some West Coast tendencies in his production and stuff. So he bridges the gap for me nicely.
Yeah, and he can be very tender as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. What are you thinking of doing in the future? Are you thinking of going into more spoken word circles, or producing more written pieces, or are you looking to take the guitar back out?
At the moment, I'm not taking the guitar back out. I have a bit of an arthritic problem with the fingers, although they're not bad. But I am drawn to the written word, so I'll be writing more, and hopefully writing better and better poetry and so forth. But I think music will always be there. I'll always want to play music, and I'm trying to stay alive long enough to do the 50th anniversary of Fairport, which is 2 years' time.
What? Is it actually?
Yeah, 2 years' time. 50 years it would be since I started Fairport with the guys. Yeah.
I can remember, as loads of people who come to Cropredy can, all the different kind of, for any excuse to get people together, the 40th anniversary, the 45th anniversary. Yeah. 40th anniversary of this EP. So that's incredible, and I hope I'm here for that in a couple of years' time.
I'm sure you will be.
Yeah.